Now, we're not ignoring the biggest topic of the week. It's pretty unusual this time of year to have a coach resign, moved on, whatever way you want to skin it. But Michael Voss has resigned from the Carlton Football Club. Let's discuss this in a slightly different way, Joel. And Laura and I were talking off air. There's going to be debates going on until they appoint their new coach. Are they going to go experience? And we've got those experienced group of Hinkley, Simpson, Longmire, Buckley. If I forget one, everyone gets the drift.
Goody.
Good one. Or, people lean into the fact that Graham Wright, goes the untried, even though our untried coaches have been coaches for 20 years, plus probably played for 15 years, but haven't held the main steering wheel. I want to ask you and start to pick your brain. You've captained more games than anybody else in the history of the game. The game's been going over 160 years, so it's quite extraordinary. And we're not trying to inflate your ego. That's just pure fact. So we lean on you for these sort of discussions. And the discussion I want to have with you and with our listeners is your Patrick Cripps. Patrick Cripps. Let's start with Patrick Cripps rings you and goes, Joel, you've ran out there in front with your headband on. You've already had stitches in the warm-up. You've broken through the banner 200 plus times. Help me this week.
Yeah.
What advice are you giving Patrick Cripps this week? Because you know how to talk to 17-year-olds and 37-year-olds better than anybody I know. So what are you doing this week and what are you telling Patrick Cripps?
Yeah, I mean, I said off air to you, I find it such a strange place to be because I never found myself there, but I understand that other people have. And for Paddy Cripps, it's probably having an understanding within his group on what it's going to take to just drag them along the next period and to get these little wins that that I talk about, whether it be, what they're really good at. Let's just get our one wood really strong again. So inside contest, and let's start building the outside contest as we're sort of graduating with these guys coming through over this next little period and what that may look like, the pathway that I'm guessing that Graham Wright and Chris Davies is going to be a part of with Josh Fraser in saying this is sort of the style we are looking to play at this point of view. That could get tipped on its head as soon as a new coach comes in. But the challenge is just try and do as many good things they possibly can, right? I have been disappointed in the landscape of the AFL world in how hard they've gone at Paddy Cripps. Like they're basically saying that you are probably the only one of value, along with a couple others, Wiedering, maybe Sam Walsh, but we're not going to get rid of Sam Walsh because he's signed through this long contract with Jagger Smith, that you're going to be the one that we throw out and see what we can get and restart from there.
So further that, this week and then planning into the future, if you're Patrick Cripps, are you going up to Graham Wright's office and going, can you grab Chris Davies as well? Can the three of us sit down and can you bring me in on a little bit of the journey for what you want from me from this week? And it's going to be a long period because we're going to get to round 17 and the luster of the caretaker coach, it becomes hard, when winter arrives like a Game of Thrones. But are you also going to ask, well, am I going to best help you going elsewhere? What do you want to do with me?
Yeah, I would be very surprised that Chris Davies wouldn't bring in Paddy Cripps and this would be a team effort going forward. And Paddy Cripps being a big plan of that and being the leader of this footy club.
Even as saying the next coach?
Yep.
Because I find
to a degree. To a degree. He can't get emotional on it and that's what a player usually does. Get an understanding. I don't have him sitting in the meetings for the next coach or anything like that. But Paddy Cripps, if I was him, I would want to go, we want to play an exciting game style that's going to be able to take it up to the best sides in the next couple of years.
So Patrick Cripps, this will be, Josh Fraser, I know is interim, the sixth coach that he has had while he's been at Carlton. I think we were saying drafted 2013,
yes.
Started 2014, 6 coaches.
Yep.
So someone like him has played under an awful lot of coaches for the time he's been at the Carlton Football Club. In my mind, I would speak to him about the potential next appointment. And I wonder whether, and I did say this to you, Jimmy, and I feel like Max Gawn at Melbourne and the respect that football club has shown him in terms of him being a leader, him being brought in to some of the big decisions that don't just involve coaching, but broader club decisions.
It almost feels like he's part of the executive.
It does.
Yeah.
I don't feel that Carlton does the same with Patrick Cripps. Now, maybe they don't want to. Maybe not every captain wants to be in that role. They just want more of a football-based role. But he's been very loyal
Yep.
And like you said, you were speaking about his value before. I just wonder whether they value him enough in the broad scheme of trying to figure out where the football club's going.
Yeah, I think from the little parts that I know about that football club, in working in the job that I now do within the AFL, and Paddy Cripps working as the captain of that football club, I'd be very surprised if he wasn't a part of even just the little things that need to go into place for that coach to be picked. But
so then for list decisions, because 6 months ago, or just over 6 months ago, they clean shop regarding assistant coaches and call it football managers.
Yep.
This time around, list manager, recruiting manager, coach. The next thing, the decisions now is actually on the list.
Yep.
So do you think bringing him in and going, hey, we're going to go a little bit more nuclear because Tassie's around the corner, and that might mean Wiedering or somebody else because we need to get a couple more picks. We need to hit them hard. We want to protect the pick to keep Cody Walker and then have another slice at it, or no, it's Cody Walker and we put some stuff around the edges. Should he be seriously informed about what they're going to do so he can make his decision personally?
That is a part of it, definitely. Yeah, I think that's a way that the club possibly could go. But in saying that, I just think that those players like Cody Walker and Jagger Smith are going to be better off in this next little period having a A-plus grade superstar around their club that they're going to have to lean on for the next period of their careers. And that is Paddy Cripps, and you don't throw those guys out.
Jacob Wiedering?
I mean, we're valuing Jacob Wiedering on season 2026 at the moment, not the seasons that have gone past.
Yep.
And he is a superstar defender.
Centre backs
low
are
on,
hard to find.
And just low on confidence because, to be honest, if you put him on the market, there's going to be 10 sides lining up going that we can get the best out of him.
Well, I think that's why some people are exploring that way, because he will have a very active market. And I guess it's for Carlton people to decide whether to cash in on that active market and take some short-term pain to potentially get long-term success, because obviously 2 years' time, good luck getting into the first part of the draft, because that's going to be bombed by Tasmania.
I know that we've been talking about those two players in particular, and they've both said they're contracted.
Yeah.
And we're going to stay at the football club, we're contracted. But I just wonder, there's been a lot of change. It's been pretty tumultuous, the environment. So it makes sense to me why there would be players who aren't at their best in 2026, given what's been going on. At what point do you, as a player, remain committed and loyal to a club above the success that you might crave? I mean, you guys were very lucky. You guys were very fortunate where you were. So I know it's hard to comment on that from your position, given the achievements that you both had.
I came in as the club, like I was part of the group starting to turn it around. Like it was, obviously they moved on coaches. Geelong was in significant debt. There was discussions regarding moving Geelong to Melbourne. It was only Geelong by name, and I was part of that. And then of course he lobbed on Adele, which he turned out to be a pretty handy player. So that we're fortunate in that case. But we clearly haven't lived the life that Carlton players have lived.
Yeah, so the life that we lived was a really enjoyable one. And then that's the challenge for Carlton to get to. So let's not try and hypothetical live through what they're going through at the moment, but set up your environment really well. Lean on your best players. Make sure that they're teaching your younger players day to day. And all of a sudden, these little things that you're just putting together, the club becomes such a whole as one. So it can turn around really quick. That's the thing. Like people think that they're years and years off. It can turn around really quick, and they've got some really good kids there already.
You two, I think when we all saw each other out the back, we were like, did you catch Damien Hardwick's press conference up in Darwin? Going to play it for the listeners, and we'll get your two reaction after this.
Damien, will Mark Opie still be in position as team manager for your game tomorrow night, despite being subject to an AFL integrity unit investigation?
Yeah, look, as far as I'm concerned, Mark Evans and the CEO and president will take care of that. As far as we're concerned, he'll be doing his role on the weekend.
Is it a good look to have a bookmaker inside the dressing room?
Well, at the end of the day, is it a good look for the AFL to be sponsored by Sportsbet? all these sort of organisations. That's decisions for you guys to make. I'm here to talk about football.
It's a bit different though, isn't it, having it so closely connected with the players? Don't you see any kind of conflict there?
Do you want to start talking about conflict in AFL? I'm just here to talk about footy.
If not, why isn't the club wanting to stand him down during this period? Isn't it appropriate that he is stood down?
I think I've answered the question. At the end of the day, he's there to perform a role, and he does that role with our football club. Conflicts of interest within AFL circles are prevalent everywhere, as we're seeing at the moment. So that'll get dealt with in due course.
Well, what about that culture of bookmakers? Do you see that wider picture as a conflict?
You probably should book in with Mark Evans, the CEO. I'm a football coach. I'm here to talk about the game and what it means to the Northern Territory people. If you want to take it down that path, talk to the CEO that controls the business aspect of the game. Are we clear? Are we clear? Are we clear? Let's be clear.
How's the vibe been around the group getting out and about?
Well, we love coming to the Northern Territory, but people like this guy want to sit there and make it everything about everything else. The game of AFL football is fantastic for the city, for the Northern Territory. So we want to sit there and explore that and celebrate it. What we're very good at society at the moment is bringing everything down, tearing everything down. What we want to do is celebrate the position we're in here, playing 2 fantastic games up here, and we want to bring our very best out tomorrow night.
That was Damien Hardwick in a tense press conference. Just to give a little bit of context, team manager Mark Opie, I'm pretty sure that's the correct way to say it, has been investigated by the AFL Integrity Unit. A complaint was lodged with the league over Opie's links with bookmaker Oakbet, I assume that's the way it's said, of which he is an operator. The journalist, who had a never-ending supply of questions, he was firing them out like, the tennis ball machines when people practice their forehand, where they go thunk, thunk, thunk. He was doing that. That was ABC's Darwin's Matt Garrick. I'm going to go to you on this one, Laura, because I peppered captaincy questions off Joel Selwood. You're the experienced journo in this. Break it down for us. My 2 cents worth before you go. First 3, ask it, follow it up, try the 3rd angle. Once he got to the 6th, and then Damien Hardwick gave us all PTSD from parents taking that long, deep breath in, going, yeah. Everyone went, run for the hills.
Yep. I've seen Dimma in that mode at press conferences. He does get defensive when he doesn't like something.
Especially with the visor on.
Yeah, with the red visor. It kind of took away from the scary image a little bit. But yeah.
Joel's a visor wearer.
Good on the journo, I reckon. This is someone who is based in Darwin, doesn't often get the footy teams up there, probably doesn't have a relationship with Damien Hardwick, gave it a red hot go, and it's topical at the moment. It's topical. I'm not sure about Damien Hardwick's response. Let's talk about the AFL and a conflict of interest. Look, they've got an alignment with Sportsbet, because it's kind of like, are you just going to bite the hand that feeds you? I mean, whether or not you like that Sportsbet is a partner of the AFL, they have a partnership with a gambling company, that is worth a lot of money.
A lot.
And that money benefits the competition, even if you don't like the source of the partnership. And so I think that's why the AFL actually hasn't been super vocal on what's been happening in this space, because they know that they've got this partnership. They know that they can't really come out swinging the moral card where they say, we frown on anyone who works with betting agencies. They can't do that. And so it's been on people like Kane Corns and Luke Hodge to actually make the personal stance and say, we're not going to have this affiliation.
So, Laura, you're in charge of ABC Darwin, and you sent out Matt. You're going, well done. That's a perfect result for ABC Darwin and Matt Garrick. But do you feel like he kept pushing it a little bit too far when they're trying to promote the game? But it's kind of funny. I think they were both right in a way, because I think as a journo, you've got to ask it. And we haven't actually heard too many follow-up questions.
I think that's what happens when you end up with the same journos all the time, particularly in the footy space. I mean, everybody works in this very tight circle. They all have relationships with each other. It's not often that you get, and I use this term loosely, an outsider who comes in who doesn't really have a relationship in that space and just goes, well, I'm just going to ask the questions because that's what I want to ask. I remember being at a press conference with Dimma at Richmond, and it was in the COVID years where they were meant to be wearing masks in the box, and he didn't. And I asked him why he hadn't had a mask on in the box, and then they shut down the press conference because they actually hadn't thought about what the response was to that. Right. And then everyone said, he just sort of looked at me and went, oh, did I? I did not wear a mask. I did. And then that's it. It was over.
Yeah, so how ready do you have to be with your craft, ready to go?
I think
the braveness of holding your line?
You know when you're onto something, and that's the thing. A minute someone starts getting defensive, you push.
Right.
Yeah.
you push.
It was playing them back down the wicket nicely when he said, maybe you need to see Mark Evans. Maybe
Fair.
Fair. And I think the journalist did the right thing, the follow-up, which we're not used to. But then, as I said,
Six follow-ups.
The six.
So you get onto his toes a little bit more, though.
Yeah. And then the ball got a little bit shorter and a little bit shorter, and then that's when the came in, and he was like, yeah, away we go. We've had the fixture released. Each of the Swans and Cats are now getting 4 Thursday or Friday night games between round 16 and 22. First Friday night, Western, what are we going with, you two? Derby. In more than 2 decades. That'll be round 20. And we've got a standalone Saturday night showdown, June 27, the Saturday night of round 16. Now, that's a little bit of a furphy. It is a standalone, but we want it on a Thursday or Friday so everyone can watch it, because isn't Saturday's Fox, isn't they?
I don't really understand why the Western Derby gets a Friday night and the Showdown doesn't. On standalone, I mean, a standalone. I don't understand that. And we had this discussion with the last Showdown and the fact that it was sort of buried in a double header. I don't mind certain teams being rewarded. The Swans and the Cats probably deserve those fixtures. I know the Bulldogs have got some as well. North Melbourne, I'm happy they've been rewarded. They've been playing entertaining footy. I think they deserve to be rewarded because traditionally they haven't had any of those primetime slots.
So back on a Friday night, the Kangaroos, first time since 2019, I heard today somewhere.
Yeah, it's been quite some time.
It's amazing.
It'd be good to see some of those young stars, big Friday night, and no doubt Alistair Clarkson would use it to motivate them. We watch a lot of American sports, and you hear them talk about, we've got the big TV game, and it's like a big event. It's a good opportunity.
The haircuts.
Yeah, there'll be some fresh haircuts getting around left, right, and centre. Cats have got quite a few of those Friday nights down at GMHBA Stadium. I think the Saints are included in one of those. And the Swans are entertaining. They've earned that right to be on the primetime slot.
Yeah, the primetime slots. Geelong and Sydney both got 4 each on those Thursday, Friday nights. The losers are the sides that probably we expect. Carlton, Essendon, Gold Coast, Port Adelaide and Richmond all got 0.